Good afternoon, darlings. How you doing? Let me let the dog in. Okay, both dogs are in. Honey is snoring very loudly at the moment, so I hope it doesn't make too much noise. So a lot's happened again since last week. A lot, and I was tempted to just come back and do more videos, but I just know that I have to let the week go by. I have done my newsletter, which is here, which is this week since the last newsletter and video, and we're going to try and talk about it. So this is for the first quarter moon coming up on the 6th of October. That moon is going to be right on Sirius, so we have the transitions of where the transiting planets are for today, right now. So today we've got the moon coming up to Osiris, to Taurus, Isis, Scorpio, Osiris, Taurus. And Taurus is ruled by Venus and Scorpio is ruled by Mars. So if we look, so the cross, the X marks the spot. We are ending the mutable age. We're not at the end yet. We've just got Mercury, the ruler of Gemini. We're moving off Gemini on the summer solstice. That's the north-south hemisphere, which is actually the east-west. Gemini is just next to Taurus. So we're now hovering on the magician's wand. We're hovering on Orion for the summer solstice. So summer solstice, 21st of the 6th, 216, 6 times 6 times 6 makes the summer solstice. And we've got now in Taurus, so it moves. If we look at midday, it's on Taurus. That whole day, we've got the sun on Taurus, on Orion, and this Orion MC Omicron is what they want to make into the MC, because Mercury, ruler of Gemini and VirgO, and Jupiter, ruler of Pisces and Sagittarius, don't want us to come back to this fixed cross. Got Taurus, Venus, Scorpio ruled by Mars, Leo ruled by the Sun, Aquarius ruled by Saturn. This is the cross that we should be coming back to. And Taurus, the gap between Taurus and Gemini and the gap between Scorpio and Sagittarius is this gap. So we've just had the sycamore tree fallen on Hadrian's Wall, which is the west-east line that cuts the head off Mary, Queen of Scots, to your entry to Scotland. The sycamore tree, which is representative of the triple goddesses becoming that one fertility, that last energy, the female energy, the fourth phase of the moon, as PlutO is stationary. He's about to go stationary, and he will be moving forward on the 1010 XX 20 on the 10th of October coming up. So he's in that just pre-stationary energy at the moment, and then he's in for 20 years into Capricorn. And that is, you know, why when the Queen died, she was brought down from Balmoral back down to London. We're not allowed to find our head, and now the tree has been cut down in the gap, and the gap is where the green god is rising. So currently we have the mission Osiris Rex one man and his dog to go and check out this asteroid Bennu. So Bennu is very much, we've got Ben Laden. In English you say Bin Laden, I think, but in French it's Bennu. We have Big Ben. We've got this new shepherd and his dog. Let's go back to now, when Saturn is right on this true third eye. And that's what I was saying last week. The very next day after the video I made, we had 25 years of Google. That's your last, this is the 7th seal. And we've got Venus right on Regulus, the Babylonian. We've got Venus coming right up. So she's going to be making, Venus is at about 3 degrees of Leo, and Saturn. So we've got Venus at 2 degrees, and we've got Saturn at 6 degrees. So they're coming up to an exact opposition between that Sphinx and the pyramids of Giza. So that's Venus, that's the 5-pointed star. She's doing that buckle, that last buckle before the 2024 Paris Olympics. This is the X marks the spot. We're coming up to the eclipse on the 14th of October, and we've just had the full moon. We had the flooding in the apple, in the big apple, the big Appy, the fertility god, Osiris, the fertility god, and we had the floods for that full moon, as we've got the north and south nodes just with 1 foot on the last, which is actually that first degree of Aries and that last degree of Pisces. So here, first degree of Libra, Venus rules Libra. That is your 5-pointed star between the pillars, the Boaz and Jacqueline solar lunar pillars, and Venus is right there. So this is why it is so enormous, why Google has timed their 25 years for exactly as Venus is making this opposition. And we're going to have, we've got this big opposition and square to Pluto, as well as Pluto is about to move forward on the 10th. That's a huge elastic band from yellow mutable fire back to black earth, Capricorn. At the same time, we have a finger of God at this moment pointing to, well, this is going to be on the 6th, but I've got the transitions and it's still in effect because that Venus is just about coming up to that. So Pluto currently just in Sagittarius, Neptune in Pisces, both ruled by Jupiter. So this is brownie points for Jupiter. Jupiter is in Aries, high cardinal fire. He's in that solar pillar. These guys, he is just the ruler of this cross of X marks the spot. So this is why they're using this moment right now to make this gap between Taurus and Gemini and between Scorpio and Sagittarius, so that Jupiter has got this reign before Pluto fully goes back into Capricorn for the next 20 years. So this is the Twin Peaks. We've got this song, Jimmy Scott, The Sycamore Trees, the Twin Peaks. So let's just see this. We've got the bust, the torso, the Taurus, the torso, just that arm. We've got the red, the black and white. So red air and the black and white is the feminine axis, earth and water. And we've got those north-south nodes moving into VirgO and Pisces. This was sent to me by a friend I don't know much about. I never saw the series of Twin Peaks. Lavette is the one who has always spoken to us about the Twin Peaks. So we've got these two chairs. We've got this guy, but we'll be getting more into that sycamore tree. So the tree of life, the symbolism, the tree of life in ancient Egypt, representation of the series of events that brought everything into existence. The tree of life is a significant religious symbol across a range of different religions and cultures. In each culture and religion, the tree of life is known by a different name and holds a different significance. Okay, so in ancient Egypt, the tree of life was a representation of the series of events that brought everything. Okay, we've said that. The first two of these spheres symbolize the earth and are believed to derive from the acacia tree. Okay, so we want to get to the sycamore tree. In ancient Egypt, as was the case with many other ancient religions, trees were of notable religious significance and were associated with different gods. Horus was one, so Horus, the child of Isis and Osiris, was one of several Egyptian deities that were associated with specific trees. So Horus, horizon line, the horizon, the Poutine, that's your west-east. Hadrian's Wall runs across that west-east. That's Hadrian's Wall. So that is right cutting off at the top between going into Scotland from England, and that's where the sycamore tree is being cut. Okay. In ancient Egypt mythology, female deities were most heavily associated with trees. The three goddesses, Hathor, Nut, and Isis, were all given the title of the Lady of the Sycamore. So we're going to have Hecate, Diana, and Artemis. So it's always the triple goddesses, and you need that last phase of the moon when the three become one. We're all given the title of the Lady of the Sycamore. The sycamore tree was extremely important in ancient Egypt religion. Trees were not super common in ancient Egypt, given its hot, dry climate, and the sycamore tree was the sole indigenous tree of useful size and sturdiness in the region. The sycamore tree also grew primarily at the edge of the desert in close proximity to the necropolises, which were the resting places for the dead. This would have given it a particular significance in Egyptian religion. From the sycamore tree grows the sycamore fig, which produces a milky substance that can sustain life. In Egyptian mythology, this substance was fed to the dead in the afterlife as a form of sustenance. Furthermore, the goddess Nut, so she holds up the Milky Way, is very closely linked to the tree of life. She is depicted as the provider of life, which she would give in the form of milk, fruit, and sap from her body. As a result of her representation as the giver of life, she became known as the World Mother and the Eye of Ra. Over time, the goddess of fertility, Isis, also became the symbol of material wisdom, motherhood, magic, death, healing, and rebirth. As such, she is often represented throughout various paintings and illustrious in the form of a sycamore tree. So I just realized I wasn't recording. I was just saying here, maybe I just have to read that again. In ancient Egyptian mythology, female deities were most heavily associated with trees. The three goddesses, Hathor, Nut, and Isis. So these are going to be the earth signs of each feminine. So VirgO, Taurus, and Capricorn on each cross. The earth feminine, Artemis, Diana, and Hecate. I come back to this. So the sycamore trees were one of the trees of the region. They primarily grew at the edge of the desert in close proximity to the Neopolises, which were the resting places for the dead. This would have given it a particular significance in Egyptian religion. From the sycamore tree grows the sycamore fig, which produces a milky substance that can sustain life. In Egyptian mythology, this substance was fed to the dead in the afterlife as a form of sustenance. So milk and honey, the pituitary and the pineal glands. Pituitary is the feminine energy, this milky, this is the fertility, and Osiris is being risen from from Isis, Osiris, the child is Horus, and you've got Ra and Horus, those two eyes, and then the eye of Osiris, the horizon, and that last third eye, Osiris, coming in now as trying to take that place of Taurus, that female axis, Taurus, Scorpio, Osiris, and Isis. So sun, pituitary gland, moon, pineal and pituitary glands, lunar, solar. This would have given it a particular significance in Egyptian religion. From the sycamore tree grows the sycamore fig. We've read that. Furthermore, the goddess Nut or Nu is very closely linked to the tree of life. She is depicted as the provider of life, which she would give in the form of milk, fruit, and sap from her body. As a result of her representation as the giver of life, she became known as the World Mother and the Eye of Ra. Over time, the goddess of fertility, Isis, also became, so Mars rules Aries, Ra, and Mars rules Scorpio, Isis, the life-death portal. Also became the symbol of maternal wisdom, motherhood, magic, death, healing, and rebirth. So that's just your axis. The moon is exalted in Taurus. Mother, magic, death, healing, and rebirth. As such, she is often represented throughout various paintings and illustrations in the form of a sycamore tree. So this is what's just been cut down. If we look at the images from my newsletter, I try to just put in these images. So we've got here from Odyssey 2001, and this is a Gucci ad. They've put this green girl moving forward and the astronaut moving back. She's dressed in green. It's your G here, and I saw in the right hand of him a book sealed with 7 seals. And this is the gap, that's your green god. And there is the sycamore tree in North Umber. Umber is the path of the eclipse, and the eclipse we're about to have is in the form of an S between the twin peaks of North and South America, and that S, the X marks the spot right over Mexico. Mind the gap. This is the 5-pointed star. 22 years since Odyssey 2001, and that was the 9/11 falling. That was Ben Laden, and now we've got Bennu. We've got this asteroid Bennu, and it's Osiris and Rex. So they're giving us Osiris and Rex. They're giving us this Orion, MC Orion, in this gap between Gemini and Taurus, and on the other sides between Sagittarius and Scorpio, we have this green god holding that snake, the fertility of Ophiuchus. So this is the winter triangle. This is what we see in the southern hemisphere. We've got, what date have we got here? 10/3. We've got here 2 We've got the Hydra snake, and we've got this snake, these two, which, you know, the real Milky Way closing is what brings us into the Twin Peaks here. We've got Pluto about to come back into Capricorn. He's right now under Altair. This gap here under this is the summer triangle. But we've got here to bring up this Osiris as the shepherd, as Saturn is right here on Fomalhaut, the true third eye. We're being given this Venus coming out of in Babylon, finishing her journey between, she went back to Cancer and now she's just come back to the solar pillar, from the lunar pillar to this sun. The sun rules Leo. So that 5-pointed star, and we've got this Osiris Rex, one man and his dog, which is being heralded now. So really at this gap at the moment, the 666 is that summer solstice. It's that ability as we move through this gap between Gemini and Taurus on the wand of Orion, that we can hold this position between, we can make it to the spirits from the material. We can open our third eye, and there is the cut sycamore. There is the image of Lars showing us the La La land that we're being taken into. Here is the eclipse coming up. So it's going to make a double cross between the eclipse of 2017 and 2024, and then again on the 14th of October coming up. So this is very much the yoni, the eyes on the horizon, keeping us in the flesh, the hourglass. And here we've got the beetles. That's why they're showing us this image here of Paul. So Pete and Paul, we see, and around about the throne were 4 and 20 seats. So I think I lost that when I wasn't recording. That is your symbol of the 2024 Olympics. 2024 is the symbol for the Paris Olympics. We've got that 4. It could be the 2, the 4 and the 2 as one, the symbol for Jupiter. And for me, it's showing us this 2 directions of the wheel. Jupiter spends 12 years, takes him 12 years to go around the wheel. 12 and 12, how wow. 40. I saw 4 and 20 elders sitting clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. And so we've got the hourglass, we've got the heads, got the head of the hawk and the beetle, that's the dung beetle, Ra. Ra and Isis, the womb. And that hourglass, that X, the X marks the spots. And we've got Paul, Pete and Paul, Jupiter, Jude Pete, Jude Paul, with his 2 hands together. The 5-5 brings up the Hawaii 5-0. This is the image of the eclipse, which is, I showed you the golem in my last video, and the golem, he has this on his chest. It has this S, this X. So the 2 snakes, the X, is what I'm thinking when I see here these 2 heads, the snake on either side here, heralding Osiris. You know, Osiris is Taurus, but we're bringing in this one man and his dog here. It's all about the thalamus. We're at that point. That was a picture of the full moon on the 29th. This is a picture. We've actually got this green god coming up in the gap. in the Ouroboros, the Ouroboros. And this is the image of them analyzing. So that looks like the tree stump, that looks like, you know, the fallen tree, and that is this Osiris Rex. And look at these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's bent down, showing his bum, very much like in that art of the ballerina bending over of the Impressionist Degas. That just made me think of her. Edgar Degas. And he, you know, he put his dancers in very humiliating, difficult positions. There she is with her hands behind her back. And there she's in the 5th position. The ballet positions are always the movements of the aspects on the astrology wheel. It's the bal, the whale, the ball, the balen, the ballet. Osiris Rex, Ophiuchus, the eye of Horus, that rhombus, harlequin, diamonds, which we get when we have the 2 X's, and there are the 2 double crossed. So that's the 2017, and this is the coming up eclipse on the October the 14th, and it will be a conjunction. So we're going to have the red, blue, and green. We're going to have sun, moon. No, that's what we just had actually on the 29th. So this we're just going to have, it's better to see it on the other stellarium. So on this one, on the 29th, on the 29th, we had Mars and Spica. We've got that comet, so green, blue star, red and green. That's what my last video was about. Red shift, blue shift makes the green. So this is their way of making the Taurus, that torso Taurus field. So then for the eclipse, Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Mars just moved away. We're going to have Mercury, the child. Eris is also a dwarf planet. Makes me think of the Twin Peaks, the little man, Eris Discordia. That's there because I was just seeing, we can see it on here. Eris right on that V for victory at the moment. Let's have a look at Uno's last video, and I'm just going to talk you through it. So I take away the sound because he's got a great piece of music being played. It's T-Rex Scotty. So that Versailles tea party with Charles and Macaron was very much like the tea party. We're in the year of the hare, at the end of the year of the hare, and we've got that hare right underneath here. X marks the spot, the hare. Under Orion, and Sagittarius is the teapot constellation. There's the teapots, and Pluto is leaving the teapots, the Mad Hatter's tea party. And what do we have on the Mad Hatter's hats? Tea party, 10, 6 is this quarter moon coming up. Alice, Mad Hatter, Tea Party. I always say T-Rex Tea Party. So there's the 10-6, the 10-6. Okay, so let's go back. So it's showing us all the celebrities, showing us this Osiris, David Bowie. You have to go and see Lucifer Rising by Kenneth Anger, which is with Marian Faithfull, Rising Isis. So Scissor Sisters as the North-South node enter the mutable cross as with Pisces Virgo. They're moving from Aries, Libra, the head and the tail, to the head is moving to Pisces and the tail is moving to Virgo, onto Scissor Sisters. That's why she shows us the scissor Edwards, scissor hands, Ed, your heads, Edinburgh. It's where the tree was cut on that Hadrian's Wall. She's got that X right on the fallopian tubes. She's got red, white. That Libra red, white Pisces, or it's also the true journey from Pisces to Aquarius. So the letter X has long been used in the mystery religions of ancient Egypt and the occult due to its Babylonian origins. Venus in Leo, Sphinx, Babylonian. So the letter X symbolizes the staff and the whip of Osiris. The crook identifies Osiris as the shepherd of the sheep. So I'm looking at Orion for this, when Osiris is meant to be Isis and Osiris, that axis of Taurus and Scorpio on the fixed cross. While the whip used as so Venus rules Taurus, Mars rules Scorpio, while the whip used as a tool to separate grains from their husks in agricultural methods. Spica is the star of harvest, where we're going to have this eclipse on the 14th. This is the harvest. It's a symbol of the coercive power of the ruler as shepherd of his flock. The sovereign encouraged his subjects while restraining them. In occultism, the X provides a spiritual jolt or impulse to prepare for transformation. It is the sign of death. In the Greek alphabet, Chi, so this is the moment of the Chi-Rho. And the Chi-Rho, we've got the P, the PlutO, or Pisces. We've got Pluto in Sagittarius, Neptune in Pisces, making a yod, a finger of God, to Venus, coming up to Regulus, and represented by the symbol X. In the Greek number system, Chi has a value of 600 according to numerologists. The triple Chi or triple X would give 666, or the number 666, which is just summer solstice 216. And in that see it, say it, sorted on the London Underground, the telephone number they give you is this 610661 or something. We've got see it, say it, sorted phone number 61. So we've got 10166. We've got that 101 passage and the 66. or just that 666999 flipped. Right. In the Hebrew alphabet, the letter X is also associated with Samach, S, which is represented by a person shooting a bow or an arrow shot into the air. So we've got the hunters, and I was just looking at this. A non-profit wants sharpshooters and helicopters to kill over 2,000 invasive deer living on California's Catalina CC33. Again, that's the top of the spine. It's the fertility, just like this sycamore tree. Where is Catalina Island? Catalina Island map. So oh, we've got one here too, which does a cut across, but that's not California's Catalina Island. So what's it? 33. There you have it. It's 33 and 118. So it's not only is it C St. Catalina, it's also 33. Huntington Beach, Long Beach, LA, LA woman, the womb, LA, Tesla, Testa D'Urberville, Spiker is the harvest star. Okay. Still, yeah. So symbolically, the arc is represented by the letter B. That's 13, which means mouth. When we pronounce X, it sounds like the hissing of snakes, which is similar to the sound when we shoot an arrow. So that's Sagittarius, the hunter, and the S is the symbol of the Orus Boreas. So that S of this eclipse, that is the path it's making of the Orus Boreas, and that is your north-south node, which is now entering into Pisces and Virgo. That is this opening and closing of the snake, which is probably timed with the journey of Venus. Yeah, I think that every time we have Venus, she spends 50 days, that's your Hawaii 5-0, below the horizon. And I would think an 8 days, so just like every 8 years, she makes that 5-pointed star. And that is every time we've got this opening breathing of the spine of the Milky Way. Okay, so Venus is going to be right coming up to that for the eclipse. Venus is going to be just coming back to rise above the ecliptic right on that eclipse day. So you can see why this is so enormous. Venus, the eclipse, is going through South America. Okay, so looking at these images of where the signs are on each equinox and solstice. So that's spring, we're at the fall now, and Taurus is right where this eclipse is going to be. We've got Taurus right here. So this is this rising of Osiris and Rex, his dog, Gemini, Sirius, Osiris and Rex. That is where the eclipse is going to be. So Aquarius is for the winter solstice, so the true winter solstice. We've got Aquarius in South America, Capricorn in North America. Here's Capricorn, North America. That is the winter solstice. What Lavette has always told us, the twin peaks, Saturn rules this area on the winter solstice. But for this full equinox period and this coming eclipse, so we had the full moon on the 29th, and now we've got Osiris and Rex. There you have it. And at the same moment, we've got the Venus, the ruler, rising up in Leo. Rising up. So let's see when she gets above the horizon. And that is going to be just for the next eclipse on the 28th. She's still going to be in Leo. And that eclipse is again going to be the moon in Pisces and the sun in Virgo, as the north-south node are fully in here, ending their alpha omega, and, you know, the killing of this axis and bringing up this whore of Babylon. Incredible. So, to this video, the arc of the bow, the letter B, your 13th sign, and this Ouroboros, and there you've got Queen. They've only got 4. They don't have that head in the middle. I showed you the 4 humors. It's always the 5th element images, and I showed you in the play that my son's just done, one of the main images that they have is they crossed out the heads in the middle. So the 4 humors, there's one very good image here, and they, oh, there it is. They got the Christ, the 5th, and this is just your star between the 5-pointed star, and this is why they're opening the house of Gainsbourg. His house, I think I've got I put in the picture there, Gainsbourg, the gates, 5 bis Rue de Verneuil, 7e arrondissement, the 2 pillars. It's a tree growing right in the middle. So he's French-Russian. He was married to Jane Birkin, Boaz Jacquin. She just died. Bambi's mother died, and we've got the gates opened by the daughter, Charlotte Lucy. This, I've just discovered this woman, Marianne, 22, 22 years, turning love into political force, and that big heart. So Queen, Gemini symbol. So, and in this revelation, got the 2 revelations, this revelation as well, the scroll and the lamb, Revelation 5:1. Then I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll with writing on both sides and sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll? But no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth could open the scroll or even look inside it. I wept and wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. Then one of the elders said to me, do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals. Then I saw a lamb, looking as if it had been slain, standing at the center of the throne, encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders. The lamb had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits. So Harry Potter, harmonic procession, perfect harmony between alkaline and acid you've got that seventh, you've got that 7 between the two sevens, 14, the 14 pieces of Osiris. The Lamb had 7 horns of God sent out into all the earth. He went and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat on the throne. And when he had taken it, the 4, so the right hand of Aquarius, Christ, Formerholt, is Taurus. And when he had taken it, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of God's people, and they sang a new song. So we're coming to this new song. You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain. And with your blood you purchased for God persons from every tribe. So this is exactly where we are. This is exactly what's going on now. And I have also in this images. So I showed you in France in the last video, we've got coming out a silence, a noisy silence, un silence si bruyant. There's your gap, the 2 pillars, just like we have the 2 pillars. So Rosemary's Baby, 2001, you've got that one breast and the birth of the baby. Black Madonna and her child's is green. And I think that I was able to add, so is your heart heavier than the feather? It's the middle pillar. They've all got their cross. This is the Lamb, and we've got on this side, we've got Armistice and the Lamb. Mary had a little lamb. It's the journey of Leo now. And this image, the key, the emeralds, green light, the 4 fixed. So Aquarius, Scorpio, the eagle, Taurus, the lion, and these 24 elders on each side. How wow, I 5-0, the 5-0 passage in the middle. So normally this is the world in tarot. You've got that Virgo girl in the middle, and this is where the eclipse is on the 14th. We just had that full moon with the flood in the apple in New York, the eye of the apple. You've got the horizon, the breasts on the horizon, and on the vertical you open your third eye. You become the observer. And that is that film. So she is Russian, she is French. Again, there's your Cairo. Aries, Libra, they're leaving now, the north-south nodes. And we're going to get double crossed and this gap. So we've also got Where I Live, Julie Gaillard, Jour J, D-Day. If you come, I'll be posting this. I've put all the links on every. So that's what I wrote about the sycamore tree. I just saw other people posts, but been busy all day. It's the gap. It's called the gap. The sycamore tree is called the gap. And it's at 550036. So that's 360 the wheel, and the 55 north and west, northwest. So how wow I 50 fell your eye. I fell tower to fell the tree. Northumberland. That's the umbrella. Ella that opens and closes. The Milky Way spine opens and shuts. A lunar and solar eclipse shadow consists of an umbra. Northumberland. The dark centre of the shadow, a penumbra, the outer part, and an antumbra, a type of half shadow. R.B. Robin de Bois, Russell Brand, red and blue. Russell Brand's book, the Re-Love Ocean, bringing back Mary Magdalene, she is flesh, Pisces is spirits. 1776 was the last time Pluto was in Capricorn. I've got a big helicopter coming over me. Yeah, okay. A sycamore tree symbolizes strength, protection, eternity, and divinity. During the Battle of Brandywine in 1777, a 168-year-old sycamore tree in Brandywine battlefield, Pennsylvania, sheltered large troops of General Washington. Since then, it became a symbol of protection and hope for the Americans. The tree, the hourglass. How wow, two hands become the 5-0, becomes one bullseye, reversed by Peter. So that was the picture of Paul McCartney, the Scarab Dung Beetle, Osiris Rex, Cairo, Charles Rex, X marks the spot. We are at the GG galactic gap as North-South lunar nodes leave 18 months in high cardinal, you know, from AB Aries Libra to CV. That's why we've got the coronavirus. We've got here the Aryan flu, the sacrifice of the birds as we go into a air age, Aquarius. So, yeah, so the boundaries, Saturn represents boundaries. That Hadrian's Wall is the boundary between England and Scotland on the true third eye opposing. So I showed you that. On the pointed star, Venus in Leo, the teenager, where we've got Mercury as well, the child. We've got the whore of Babylon and her child. And it was cut down by a 16-year-old boy. That's again your 7, as Google celebrated 25 years of its existence. Got that 16-year-old boy making the 7. So between Gemini and between VirgO, the 2 twin boys, 7-7, and VirgO, 21 years old, we've got this 16-year-old boy. Normally it's the adolescent Leo, and it's becoming this teenager, this boy coming up between VirgO and Leo. Is born 16th 7th seal. The Eiffel Tower stands right between the 16th and 7th arrondissement on the Seine, the Seine, as we've seen in The Little Prince, in that famous image of the hat, which was actually a boa constrictor snake eating an elephant. The Arc de Triomphe was once an elephant. So I showed you in the last video that Russell Brand has got his Chiron in Aries, where Chiron will be closing for the Olympics. And yeah, so Mr. Tumnus, 9th house Sagittarius, Lucy, 6th house Virgo. We've got Pluto still in Sagittarius, 9th house, before we make that 6-10, which is this half moon coming up, but it's also Pluto, Earth, Virgo is moving back to Capricorn. And we're going to have this X marks the spot right now, as we've got this 6-9, which is also Cancer, Capricorn. The Queen died at 96, came down the meridian line, back down to 69, Cancer. That's your Midnight Express line. So house 96, 69 sit between winter, summer hemispheres of our brains, the crossroads. 2012 was the year of the dragon, and 2024 is the next year of the Olympic dragon. That's your 24. It's your 24. And around the throne were 4 and 20 seats. And upon the seats I saw 4 and 20 elders sitting clothed in white, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. Right, finishing the video of Uno. So then we've got him who's written the big book about Venus, obviously. Bennu, Bennu, Ben Laden, Big Ben, Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men. So there we've got the eclipse coming up. And the 2024. X marks the spots. And then this must be a video of Britney Spears where we've got the Rolling Stone. Papa was a Rolling Stone coming in, and he's trying to play this Saturn grandfather when that mag professor is not Sagittarius, it is Aquarius. Good scissor hands. T-Rex Scotty, T-Rex Scotty, Tea Party, that is the Cairo, the sword in the stone, there's SS, Scissor Sisters. Okay. Sagittarius, Pisces, Jupiter, that looks like a scissor, the open scissors of Jupiter closing in onto Venus, opening and shutting, and the two directions of Jupiter's rule, Pete and Paul, Jude, Pete and Paul, and so we have Paul sitting on top, the Jude, Pete and Paul closing onto this five-pointed star and this opposition here. So in the year that I was married in 1985, we had this Jeremy Bamber killing Bambi, his sister, her two children and the parents, 5 people killed. So this is obviously coming out later, 33, bringing this back. But I was only made aware of this a week before my daughter's husband and his brother took their lives, and his name is a JB. He is also JB, and he died as the sun was bang between Leo and Cancer. And then when Mars was on Spica, exactly where Mars is now, there was his brother, just exactly as in the story. He couldn't bear to be here without his brother. And my daughter's husband took his life too. And that for me, as we see in New Zealand, Gemini is what in the southern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, you see the winter triangle, and here on this side where I live, we have the summer triangle. So now the sun on the summer solstice is on top of the wand, and the two suns are sacrificed. And I was married in 85. I didn't know about this, but I had a email from the BBC just before the brother of these two boys were gone, and it was very obvious when I was in New Zealand that this is Tauranga playing the role. Normally this is VirgO that sits between the temples, and in Tauranga you've got that shape of the canary, which also you've got, it looks just like Orion. And yeah, I mean, I do think, I don't know whether it's conscious. I'm not saying that it's done by people. I'm just saying that there is very much this acute, when you can see the mythology going on Earth, it really is a mythology story. So the other big thing going on this week, we've got, apart from Mars right now on Spica, and we've got this opposition of Mercury and Neptune. So Mercury is now at home. He rules Gemini and VirgO. We've got the Sun in VirgO and Mercury. And So, you know, this is very much this deception, this illusion, Neptune retrograde in Pisces, this journey from the grape's flesh to the alcohol spirits. Pisces, as we've got Uranus right on Algol, that's the medulla. And there's still this, Jupiter is going retrograde. We've got another 10-6. This is Pluto's retrograde. He's going forward on, some people say the 11th, but also the 10th. So October the 10th, he's moving forwards. But we've got another Neptune retrograde, July the 2nd to December the 7th. That's going further into 2024. It's 2024. So this Jupiter retrograde, September the 4th to December the 30th, 30th of December, Uranus, to January the 7th, 2024. We've got, there is another 10-6. There is another big 10-6. Yeah, it's Neptune. Neptune moves forwards on 10-6. So we've got this that we're looking at here is for the 10-6. This Yod, Venus right on Regulus, quarter moon, first quarter moon, but then we're going to have, and as there's a Yod coming from Neptune, 10-6, and 10-6 is 16, and then 10-6, the 6th of December, Neptune will move forwards in Pisces, and so we're going to have that's 7-7. I'm going to take you through a few posts. The big news is Pluto, your subconscious mind, is stationary the next few days, officially on the 10th, but you can feel that stationary energy already. Pluto went retrograde on May the 1st and on 10-10 XX. So this makes 20. I was just about to open about this actress, Julie Gaillard. She was the partner to Hollande, the past Prime Minister. And the first thing I see here is 16 days, 16 films. But that's not what I want to show you. Films 20 days, Gers, Olympe. Okay, so this is being filmed where I live at the moment. So this is in English. So what's interesting is that it has to be filmed in only 20 days. So that's your XX. So she's playing the role of a very famous, the first big feminist. So Pluto returning to Capricorn at that time during the revolution. There was a big feminist, a woman called Olympe de Gouges. Olympe de Gouges, so that's your G, the Olympus, this is her, this woman here. So she was killed with her head cut off as well. Olympe de Gouges was a French playwright and political activist. She is best known for her Declaration of the Rights of Women and of the Female Citizen and other writings on women's rights. So 1780, this is the cycle of Pluto, and Julie Gaillard. Let's go back. Yeah, so what's interesting is that the filming began this Tuesday, so on September the 26th at the Chateau Leo. So you've got the girl, Jour J, in Leonard. It will last 20 days and will continue in other departments of the region. So it has to be a strict 20 days. I wonder if that they needed the sun. We've had non-stop sunshine. It's inside the imposing Middle Ages building rebuilt. Important to have figures of beautiful women from the region. Okay, well, I noticed that it had to be filmed in 20 days. Let's go back here. So XX, so this is back to Sagittarius Jupiter. The elastic band is released. Pulled Pluto right back into yellow Sagittarius fire. Jupiter from Black Earth, Capricorn, Saturn. The baleine N, the rolling stone, will be released like a cannonball. Mainstream tropical astrology says Pluto's retro between Aquarius to Capricorn, which is also symbolic for the Twin Peaks sycamore tree. So mainstream astrology has got us on the winter solstice. So the winter solstice is Aquarius, Capricorn, the Twin Peaks, and we're at the full equinox here, and we've got Taurus and Gemini, Osiris and Rex here. So the gap, so Twin Peaks, sycamore tree, the gap, XX, the harlequin, rhombus, diamond. This is a nuclear Big Bennu, Ben La Billen Ben Den Bang time. You are being alchemically prepared to make the passage, just like they say just as they say in this alchemical passage that we're at, to make it onto the fixed cross. No, it was on the sycamore tree. It's the sycamore tree. It's the sycamore tree. So this is where they say it. That transmutation. Well, I read it earlier on. It's that transmutation that you make. That's what Pluto is all about. Through a whole new reality. So last time Pluto made this last passage into Capricorn was 1776, American Revolution. Russell Brand wrote the book Revolution. Everything is time for this last nuclear black-yellow clash. 610, big date, that's what we're looking at now. So what do Pluto retrogrades mean in astrology? In order to understand what happens when Pluto's retrograde, it helps to wrap your head around how it functions when it's direct or moving forward. Pluto tends to bring attention to the darkness that underlies everyday life. When it links up or squares off with other planets in the sky or in your natal Akka birth chart, it could set off power struggles, toxicity, or control issues, or uncover nefarious secrets in our relationships. When Pluto is direct, we feel its effect far more externally. However, when Pluto is retrograde, it affects us more internal, psychological, and emotional. The planet name for the god of the underworld will challenge you to check and ideally address your own toxic, negative, and self-destructive behaviors, patterns, and belief systems. Ideally, during this period, you might become more interested in resolving these compulsive behaviors or addictions. But as with any astrological event, there's no guarantee you'll feel this Pluto retrograde in a wildly apparent way. Even if it's hitting a key point in your natal chart, it's crucial to remember that Pluto's snail pace means you'll generally notice its effects in terms of patterns or mindsets, rather than something obviously outward like communication, money, or love. You might find that by fall, Pluto's nudges and mission to purge anything toxic have managed to put you in a new empowered headspace. So these images, I put the cannonball, Pluto and Sagittarius, what if Bennu hit Earth, that cannon, Hawaii 5-0, we got the homage, the Obama lookalike, Big Ben interesting, they put the Empire State and the Eiffel Tower as a comparison. There's your Elizabeth line, the Cancer constellation in her Elizabethan dress, the plasma events. So from fire and earth, we get that black yellow. This was the front of the newspapers yesterday. France, that's so interesting. They said that there have been so far 70 Islamic attacks, and I didn't see if that was worldwide or in France, but there's your 7 again, your 7th seal, and there's that Solomon vessel that is like the ball, the cannonball, the key, Saturn and Mars there, teapot, yellow, black, constellation of Sagittarius, the Milky Way runs through, Toulouse-Lautrec, yellow and black, that Twitter, X, Lot and Garon was on the front pages. You got him like a puppet with the marionette strings. There's the grippe aviaire, the vaccination of all the ducks, Donald Duck, D-Day, Liberty and Glory, LG, bringing up Lord Gruffalo, Sagittarius is that gap, Gemini, Sagittarius, the revolution, yellow, black, Bennu and Earth. And this is the Osiris Rex coming back to Earth. There's your golem, and he's got that holding his cracks made from the clay. That was on the front cover of the French news that this is the research in Toulouse for extraterrestrial. Rosemary's Baby, she's lying on the horizon. You just have that one eye and the green gap. Philosopher's Stone, the breast. New York flooded, the eye, the eyes on the horizon, the breasts, and the one breast of Venus. Venus is the apple of the eye. If you split the apple, you've got the Venus star in the middle. Remember I did a video on Baron, on this Baron with all the symbology, which was just like the coronation of the king, and Venus in her shell. That's Libra, that's masculine. The shell represents the Jacques de Compostelle path. They've now got Jack instead of the VirgO. We're at that passage right now. Osiris Rex, the Cairo, La Boom, the French film, the Rose, the Fox, Jupiter, boom, boom. That's what he always used to say. And Harry giving us the boom. Api, the fertility bull god, Osiris. And that T between the 224, Jupiter, Pete and Paul. Uranus on Medusa at the moment, as for just before the World War. We're at from 1973 to today is the 5-0. And we've got Venus, as you saw, for this eclipse just rising up. There's the Elizabeth line, that plasma events. The hormonal Liza, and that's what we were shown, the 7th seal, and that Q, that line at the coronation. Odyssey 2001, that's Mars on Aldebaran. The Queen died when Mars was here. Notre Dame fell when Mars was here. My dog Happy was sacrificed when Mars was here on Easter Day. And the floods in New Zealand were also the fertility festival, the Valentine's Day, 13th, 14th, 15th of February. Okay, I was just taking pictures of the spider webs yesterday, and I say, so it's St. Andrew's Cross, but we've also got, which I spoke about in my old blogs, there's Andrew's Cross, X marks the spot, but we've also got Andrew Cross, who created spiders, As soon as St. Andrew's Cross, Mutable Cross, JM, MJ322223 CVVC ends, we pass the Lion Heart, Venus on Regulus. Now, Akawai fertility, sycamore tree cut at Scotland, Hadrian's Wall, to stop the head being found. Blue-white lines crisscross. That's your apple crisscross tart, the apple again. 1784 to 1855 again. This is all when Pluto was last in Capricorn, was a pioneer in electricity, in electrocrystallization of our atmosphere. He created living spiders from his experiments, Acarus crossi. Frankenstein was born from his image. Inanna the Weaver is replaced by Spider-Man. He launches his jet trails to change our senses, electrical fields. Trishobothria hairs ignite as human hairs to static energy. The white lines are sprayed. My skin feels dirty. Every pore is blocked. I feel it immediately on my skin. My head gets stuffy as heavy metal, aluminium, mercury, Jekyll and Hyde, full jacket creates electro-smog life in a tin can. Barry and Barry White Line, John Barry 007. The flies appear, the wasps get angry, and the hive-minded do too. And the Asian frolons kill whole hives of bees. Funny how the one-sided can only see one side of the coin. Okay, I'm just going to show you important. See, I'm always seeing these viral posts and seeing the deeper meaning. So, you know, I won't bore you, but I mean, look at Axel Rose. You can read that being compared to Benny again, the Benus, the Big Ben, the Bin Laden, you say in English, but, so that was my newsletter. This is a French couple that I've spoken of before. You can have all this. You can go and open and read this. But I give you the, so mercy is the mercy pillar. Merci is mercy. They only went to Islam countries, Muslim lands, and they're very much playing this VirgO and Pisces, Mary Magdalene and Jesus, which is actually a feminine axis. Jesus is when we get to Aquarius. VirgO and Pisces is the Scissor Sisters, the feminine axis. That's Uno's video. So we've got this guy showing us the Jupiter and Mars. He created the hand signs for deaf people. We've got MC Orion, Osiris and his dogs. That was a good video showing him walking along the Hollywoods. So I add all that. This was the full moon. That was the full moon. That was at the Lion Gates in Orsh. The sky went purple. That was the images, me talking about the Northumberland, which I just read you all that. And you can open that link. I've got the link in my newsletter to see all the pictures. This is a post from Jamie. She's always very clever. See the Archer, Robin Hood, boundaries, rob the rich to feed the poor. And I'll let you, you can stop the video and read that. So again, the ridiculousness, and this is what we've got on the front cover of the newspapers today. Everybody's dressed in this ridiculous outfits. for COVID vaccinations, the fourth, the last leg coming in. And this was before, the day before the sycamore, the birth of the green god, the GG galactic gap, and the A lion is born. The fake 13th sign, Ophiuchus, the jolly green giant, northern lights, aurora borealis. So the gap god, and then the tree, I find out the next day. I'm always very sensitive to things coming. I do things. So there's the invitation for the coronation of the king. That was just before the fertility New Zealand floods. We've got the green god, Lars's picture, Seigneur des Anneaux. There's that green god. There's your green god in that axis. This is the Orus Boreas, AB, Alpha Omega gap. Okay, I'll just whiz through the pictures. I'm not even going to whiz through the pictures. I'm going to stop and I'm going to let you open the link. There is the G. That's where we are between the pillars now. The I, the middle pillar. Gainsbourg, that G. Covered all that in my last video, so that was the front for my last video. Blue, red, green. We've got the comets on the blue star spiker and Mars, all conjuncts, and the south nodes all together, making this Taurus, crowning their Osiris and Rex, the Taurus field king. That's Allah's image. You can't have a 13th sign. And there's Jacques Compostelle in the arc, which is just our brain, the medulla. That should be the high priestess. Will I Am. We've got Marianne Williamson coming forward in America at the moment. La Marianne, there's the medulla in the brain. All these pictures you know by heart. So very important for the death of Diana. The Queen was silent for 5 days. For the earthquake in Morocco, the 5-pointed star, the King was silent for 5 days, bringing us to the Hawaii 5-0 now. So yeah, that was, I was thinking about that. You can read that. It's me making all the little connections between why they got rid of the female moon in Taurus, the English rose line in Paris to bring up Osiris in France for the Paris Olympics, the gap gods. All so symbolic, and that's about her grave on the islands. And these are more incredible. We've had the most incredible the sun sets over my church always for the fall. That's why my village is this 5-pointed star in a direct line to the North Polaris, the Pic de Midi. Roger Vadim had 5 wives, and this is all about the Stepford wives. He was married to Jane Fonda. He did the film Barbarella. He did And God Created the Woman with Brigitte Bardot. So you can go and read that as well. Those his 5 wives. He was married to his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But he was also with Catherine Deneuve. That was before she became Catherine Deneuve. Jane Fonda wrote a book about her, Brigitte Bardot, and Catherine Deneuve. You've got the American, the English, and the French, the red, white, and blue. And he is, of course, Russian, like Gainsbourg. So you're getting it. Russia, Moscow, Moscow is the 13th chakra. So that god is probably coming up on the Poutine, the New Horizon. This is me discovering about Marianne. You can read that, Mary Magdalene. And her charts, I went to look at her chart. Yeah, this Marianne girl, look at her charts. So, of course, she's got her horizon right between this gap right here. She's got her sun on Sirius. She's got her moon and Jupiter right on this axis where we're going to have the eclipse. She's got her Mars in, so she's going to have a Mars opposition at the moment for this eclipse and this full moon, these two eclipses coming up. And she's got the moon in Pisces. The moon rules Cancer, where she's got Uranus and Mercury working with her moon. Anyway, all this you can go and open in my last newsletter. And then, of course, the storm, and yes, the storm, and yes, and at the same time, we've got, she was the woman who dealt with all the vaccinations during COVID. She's called Agnes B, A-B, like the designer mark, A-B. She's called Agnes Booze. Booze is a hawk. And she was on the front, so you know, you can read that. But so we had and as I showed you, we've got this documentary coming out about incest. Silence has now become un silence si bruyant. And then we had the storm in England. Then we had mist and fog. That's my church in the mist. Got the red steeple coming up. That's a very funny video, Dame Edna and Boris Johnson, BJ, which basically is telling you about what's going on right now. The Dame Edna treatment of BJ, Boaz, Jacqueline. He's Boris, Russian. So a 3.2 magnitude quake. So that's the Grace. That's where I live, the 32nd apartment. And my village is 32290. Paul, the Sagittarius gap. And then that was just, yeah, they cut the electricity in my village for the moment that Venus entered Leo. And then the day after the last video I did, France cracks, the Kraken. We also had Julie Gaillard, Jour J. And I told you Charles and Macron met in Bordeaux, 33. And we had the Pope on the other side. So this is showing France, but you've just got blue and white. Just like in that documentary, they're showing blue and white and not the red is gone. This feminine lunar energy, Islam. So Google Doogle's 25th birthday. That's what that was about. Venus, five-pointed star, is opposite Saturn moon. Yeah, we had the Saturn moon conjunct. Venus between Leo, Cancer. She was now just entered into on the Lion's Gate in Leo. So that again is just me going, wow, wow, look, seventh seal, the house of Gainsbourg, G is at 5 beasts, the 7 chakras to open the third eye, and they're reopening his house. And there's the eye and the 5-pointed star. Venus rules Libra, Venus rules Taurus. So Venus rules the kidneys. You're either hung upside down or you become the observer of this game. And that's what I'm trying to do. So that was the chart on the 27th. On the 27th, we've got Moon and Saturn opposing Venus. that was a big day. And then we had the floods in New York on the 29th, the full moon. So I'm going to end this video now. I will always think of lots of things I didn't say, but I can only do the best I can in that hour. There she is, the High Priestess, the Medulla, the Mary Magdalene sits here, and now they're putting Osiris, they're putting this MC Orion, one man and his dog, Osiris and Rex are going to save us from Bennu. Okay, I think that's it, darlings. I'll leave you with this picture. Gather up the 14 pieces of Osiris. As mankind begins to acknowledge its connection to the magical heaven and the energies therein, it will begin its journey of picking up the 12 lost tribes and rise into electromagnetic chakra energy. For the uplift, one needs both the feminine and masculine energy to be able to raise the electromagnetism in the chakras, the 4 elements from the basis of the 5 wave of consciousness knowledge. One can lift up the armor of God in which one is created out of the order of nature and crown oneself. This is Lars's picture, Alchemy, Astrology. So this is where we are, and we're having this passage right now that I've tried to explain. And voila, darlings, I'll be back next week. I'll add the newsletter. And as always, I'll leave you the link to my site for readings. And as I've said in the past videos, you don't have to be present with me. So a lot of people don't want to be present with me. And it's very exciting to get your video. It's exciting for you to find out what I've said. It's raw and real. Okay, my darlings, I love you very much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.